Hey there, welcome back to the channel. If you're wondering why my engine is resting on a car seat, within due time you will find out why. This will be part 4 of the S62 swap into my BMW E46. Today's video is going to be final assembly of the engine. We're going to put the oil pan on, oil pump, we're going to compression test the engine and do some other things. Before those things happen though, I need to show you what kit I'm using to get the engine to fit into the chassis. Though we must figure everything else out, that was a big part of getting this engine to fit. I have a quick disclaimer for you. Before getting all excited, hopping online and buying this kit that I'm about to show you, be warned that I had fitment issues with my oil pump. I had to contact the company and I went through 2 different oil pans, okay, before I got the fitment, which I had to correct myself. If you have not seen them already, there are videos on my channel showing the fitment issues under the S62 swap update video and the S62 swap oil pump video. These next video clips you're about to see were taken before I realized they were fitment issues. I may seem very happy to explain what all comes because like I said, it's a great kit, but these next shots were taken once again before I went to test fit the oil pan, okay? So keep that in mind. Okay, so a major part of this project is a kit in which lies before me. This is from the company called Cybel. They are based in Poland, okay? This is an oil pan and subframe swap kit for the S62 into an E46. When it comes to this kit, they included certain things that even I was not expecting. Starting off with the modified E46 subframe, it comes with these mounts welded to it. It also has been powder coated, so this is ready to go. The custom oil pan, which I really enjoy because it lets us reuse the original S62 oil pump. You see the ports right here for the scavenging pumps? That is pretty cool. Over here we have the mounts for the engine, which will obviously be paired with the included polyurethane engine mounts. Back over here we have the bottom portion of the oil pan. It's a 2-piece pan. Now the more intricate things would be this crankshaft pulley. Because with this oil pan, we need a smaller crankshaft pulley. These little brackets here, this one is for the power steering pump. It bolts right to it, okay? This is your new timing bracket, which will bolt to the timing cover, and you put your alignment pin through there to lock the crankshaft. Then we have a bag full of fasteners and the other parts needed for this conversion. They also include this L-ring oil pan gasket. Before the oil pan can go on, we must insert this metal tube, which is included. It's going to go into this hole in the block here, like the original oil pan. There is also an O-ring that goes on the oil pan. I put a brand new one on there. I also put some fresh oil on it for lubrication. Here we have the small tube in which we put into the engine block directly before the pan went on. It will meet up to this pipe with a compression fitting like this. Like that. Here we have an oil pump from the S62 engine. We need to modify it for installation. Long story short, we're actually going to have this installed backwards, meaning instead of the sprocket being here, it's going to be coming out back here. Now, as you can see, here is one of the rotors at the very back of the pump. And here is another rotor in the middle of the pump, it seems. Now, if you notice, there are little keys on this shaft. See that? Definitely do not want to lose those. Inside of here, we can see the primary rotor. It is the largest. There is also a second key on this shaft. Comes right out. While I'm still here, I'm going to remove this chain tensioner. Looks like just a little circlip retains it. Just come off of there, you little bugger. There we go. This should just pull right off like that. Okay, so here we are. We're going to press off this rotor gear from the original oil pump shaft. Then we will press it onto this new shaft, which was included in the swap kit. I'm going to spray some lubricant onto the shaft. Now we can press it out. We are now going to press in the new shaft. We want a depth of 87 millimeters from the very end surface here down to there. And there we go, 87 millimeters. It is now time to reassemble the oil pump. So you want the squares on the same sides, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to place one of the keys into the slot here. There we go. And once more, we must make sure our little square mark, right there it is on the rotor, is on the same side as the square on the gear. Missing up here is going to be the screen, which does its job very well, as if you remember, that is where I found all my timing chain guide pieces. Okay, so we're actually not done with this pump yet. We still need to modify the sprocket cover, which used to mount to these three holes back here. Here is the sprocket cover. Mounted to it, I have a stencil, which was included in the kit. We need to drill these 4 holes out right here. Those holes will align with these 4 bolts here. Here is the completed oil pump. They included a brand new chain tensioner, genuine BMW, along with these new fasteners that you put in there. Before I installed the oil pump, if you watched the previous videos where I showed the fitment issues, I had to make some modifications in here. So just to be safe, I'm going to use this gasket that I made. It's going to go right in there like that. And here is my shimming washer. Going to pre-stage the oil pump sprocket in here. Grab the oil pump, lift up the sprocket, make sure the chain is on the teeth on the crankshaft sprocket. You want to make sure that tensioner goes inside of the chain. Okay, got the tensioner in, sprockets on. When it comes to the mounting bolts, you want to put some red thread locker on them. The torque specification is 21 Newton meters. I am now going to put some red Loctite on the oil pump shaft where the sprocket goes on. I will also put some on the threads for the nut too. These engines do not have issues with the nut backing off or anything, but I'm just being really safe, just in case. Get that back on there like that. Now the threads for the nut, just like that. The proper torque specification for the nut is 25 Newton meters. Can't quite fit a torque wrench in here, so I'm just going to tighten it up by hand. There we go. Here we have one of the oil scavenging pumps. I have replaced the O-rings. They were included with the swap kit. Now these will be pretty tight, so definitely lubricate these. Here we have the oil pump sprocket cover. I was told by one person not to worry about it, while somebody else installed it themselves. So I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put it in there. I figured if I can make it fit, why not? So I simply just super glued washers to the back of it. That will space it away from the pump because the position of the chain is protruded more outward when compared to stock. So it would have rubbed in here. And now we have the oil pump installed. It's time to cover it up. Here we have the engine now resting on a, funnily enough, an E39 rear seat. Well, it seems after further realization, this is actually an E46 rear seat. It was one of my good ones. It is no longer that. I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? So anyway, the reason why I have it resting on such a thing is because the flywheel would not fit, obviously, whenever it's on the engine stand. So we have the engine ready to crank over. We have the oil filter housing assembly installed. We got the oil pan all sealed up down there. We have the dipstick tube refastened. The wiring harness is now laid on top of the engine to keep it away from the flywheel to avoid contact, because this will be spinning. As far as jumping the starter goes, pretty easy to set this thing up. Car battery, the ground terminal directly to the block, the 12-volt hot terminal directly to the starter, 12-volt stud. Then we take the plug for the starter, and what I found out was this plug here is from an E46, the secondary air pump. It plugged right into the M5 starter, which is pretty cool. I stripped the ends of the wires. We'll simply touch this to the positive, and the starter will engage and spin the engine over. I currently have the Vanos oil pressure block. This bolt here is loose. As soon as I see oil coming out of this, I know there's oil up here. I will then tighten it and then allow the Vanoses to get oil. And then I will get the compression tester and we'll check all 8 cylinders and make sure the compression is good. Performing a compression test right now will verify whether or not I performed the work properly while the engine was on the stand. I'm hoping so. Let's find out. Keep in mind the spark plugs are still out, so it's going to have no compression. It's going to freely spin. There we go. There's oil pressure. I'm now going to crank the engine some more to get oil into the Vanos system. If you notice, there was actually a tapping noise in here with each revolution until oil pressure built up. It is now time to do a compression test. Cylinder 1, here we go. And there we are, about 180 on cylinder 1. Cylinder 2, about 190. Okay, so here we have the very last cylinder. I'm hoping it checks out great. Oh, thank God, man. That's an awesome feeling. Up past 180. That tells me that I did everything properly during the timing and all that. That was very nerve-wracking. After having the engine apart multiple times, learning the procedure of this engine, oh man, I was so anxious. I can't even lie, you know. And here are the results. As you can see, there are some differences here in PSI measurements. That's okay. This engine's been sitting for a few months now. So yeah, these variances in numbers is totally normal. As long as it has good compression on each cylinder, I'm more than happy. So there we have it. The engine is ready to go into the car. Part 5 is going to be the transmission installation, and steering shaft assembly. I'm making my own steering shaft. And then the engine is going to go into the car. How exciting. How exciting. It still has not fully hit me yet what I'm actually doing here. Basically, my dream build. V8 E46. S62 V8 E46. That, just saying it sounds crazy, but I'm doing it. I won't realize it fully blown until I see the engine in the car. Then I'm going to be like, holy smokes, this is actually happening. Is my head going to explode? It might. I might just pass over and I might just croak over and die from excitement, pure enjoyment. This is actually happening. Part number 5. I'll see you there. Catch you later.